Growing up as a 90s kid was great. There was a great boon of video games to enjoy. From the SNES, the Game Boy, the PlayStation, and even PCs, games were so abundant in the childhoods of many. Except us, because our mom said if it wasn't kid-powered, we couldn't have it! I grew up so irrelevant, behind the times, forced to go outside and ride bikes or climb trees. Actually, I like climbing trees, so it wasn't that bad. And we weren't 100% without video games. We had this beast, the Commodore 64. That's just an ugly old brown keyboard. No, you're just an ugly old brown keyboard! This is a wonderful masterpiece of 8-bit glory. According to Wikipedia, the C64 dominated the low-end computer market for most of the 1980s. For a substantial period, 1983 to 1986, the C64 had between 30% and 40% share of the US market and 2 million units sold per year, outselling IBM PC compatibles, Apple computers, and the Atari 8-bit family of computers. Part of the Commodore 64's success was its sale in regular retail stores instead of only electronics or computer hobbyist specialty stores. So I'm really surprised that most people I know have never even heard about this computer. It had a lot of capabilities, but people used it mostly for games, and it even had joysticks. To this day, that is my parents' preferred controller. I'm more versatile myself, but I like keyboards best. We didn't have it plugged in all the time, but it was always a treat when Dad brought it out and hooked it up. Being the youngest, I mostly watched my parents and sister play these awesome games like Lode Runner, Jumpman Jr., and Impossible Mission. Lode Runner is a puzzle game. You're the little white guy, and you run around collecting blocks while avoiding the blue guys. You had to go up and down ladders and grab hanging bars to navigate, and if you were cornered, you could bury the blue guy, but they regenerate, so you have to watch out. They also stole and moved your blocks. Rude. Once you got all the blocks, a white ladder would appear at the top, or you would just somehow have to find your way to the top of the screen in order to continue. That was my mom's favorite game. I guess she and my dad also were able to make their own levels, so they had a lot of fun doing that. Jumpman Jr. is one we kids liked a lot. We played as the little Jumpman, and you collected the flowers. You avoided the little white balls that would scroll through the screen, and if they were in line with you, they'd immediately shoot in your direction. You had to avoid them, or they'd throw you down, and then you'd land on the ground, and you'd have these little white stars around your head, and it would go do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. You didn't want that to happen. When you collected all the flowers, you would move on to the next level. But each level had a quirk, like Fire Fire, where every time you collect a flower, fire appears. Or Spellbound, where a letter would appear every time you collected one. Or in Hurricane, where you're constantly pushed to the side, and as if it were windy, and when you died, you slid across the ground still. We always thought that was pretty funny. Then there was Blackout, where you had to carefully take steps to reveal where your platforms, ladders, and ropes were in order to navigate. We died many times. I think of these, Impossible Mission is my favorite one. This was also my dad's forte and my oldest sister's favorite, as far as I know. She worked hard to beat my dad's high score. You navigate this maze of rooms, and you go up and down an elevator. There is some mad scientist you're trying to beat. You have to go into the rooms, collect puzzle pieces. You have to avoid the robots or they'll zap you. Also, don't fall down or you scream as you fall. And don't touch the big black ball because it will also zap you. Each puzzle of 4 pieces grants you the letter for the password. We usually got words like alligator and albatross, and I think butterfly. Despite being an 8-bit game, it looks really good and is smoothly animated. One of our favorite things was watching the little guy search the toilet because it looked like he was using it. Ha! Classic 8-bit comedy. Oh, and there was a music room. You had to follow the music pattern, and you'd get bonuses like snoozes for the robots to make things easier. I remember Dad marking the TV screen with some kind of greasy crayon to make it easier to remember. Based on my experience, I assume you're all uncultured swine, so I'll link videos to their gameplay in the description below. I highly recommend you check those out. Now, I did get to play some games. They were the educational ones. Talking Teacher taught you about the alphabet, and the 8-bit jingle is still one I love very much to this day. Cave of the Word Wizard was also great. You travel through a cave and look for jewels, and when the wizard appeared, you had to spell what he had you to spell. And if you got it wrong, he would say, "It's getting darker." Oh, and it may surprise you that even Disney had a game. Donald Duck's Playground. You play as Donald Duck, and you work these short shifts to earn money to buy playground equipment for your nephews. They were mostly matching/timing games. So there was a train station where you had to make sure the train tracks were going to go to the station that you were supposed to get the train to. And then there was the toy store where you had to put the toys from this conveyor belt up on the shelves, but you had to close the doors before the Amquack train, I think it was the train, went by and knocked them all off the shelves. And then, of course, there was the fruit truck where this guy was chucking fruit at you, and you had to catch it and put it in the correct bin. And the airport one where you had to match the letters on the luggage to the right cart before it was taken to the airplane. That sort of thing. And Disney, those sneaks, went and made that one educational too, teaching you how to count money. Coincidence? I think not. That was also one my very small self enjoyed playing, although I never got the money part. I was little. I don't recall there ever being any instructions to these games. You just had to figure them out, I guess. Unlike now, where instructions are almost too much. Games really hold your hand these days. Huh. Maybe people used to be smarter. Maybe too many people rotted their brains out playing video games inside all day instead of playing outside, riding bikes and climbing trees. Oh my gosh, my folks were right. I gotta get outside before it's too late. No! We're all doomed. I'm just kidding. I hope you enjoyed my trip down memory lane. What were your favorite games growing up? Tell me about them in the comments. Oh, and if you need more entertainment during this quarantine, I have a fun comic over on Instagram. Go check it out. It's at Joava, and it's updated much more often than my channel here. As always, please like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.